Hi, Bud Johnson here. Just want to talk to you a little bit about back safety and back health. I had back problems most of my life. My father had back problems. My grandfather had back problems. I went to an osteopath because I used to be off roughly about 4 weeks of the year with back problems, including the time I was in the military. So I went to an osteopath and he says, "Do you do any of these exercises?" To which I said no. He gave me exercises to do, real simple things. I haven't had any problems since then. So I researched this quite a bit. But I want to hit something first, okay? I was working for one of the major elevator companies, big elevator company. They were having all kinds of problems with back injuries and back costs. So they spent a fortune. They brought in the Cooper back wellness people from Texas. They had them go to local offices. They made people come in from all over, drive in miles. They presented a 4-hour course, which was a phenomenal course as far as I was concerned. They had all kinds of handouts and literature and programs, and they had a beautiful, lovely lady give the lecture. Now, the first 2 hours was on anatomy and physiology, which I loved, but it seemed like she was talking to me, so I look around, there's about 20 people in the room, and they're all like, after about 10 minutes, they're dead. They didn't even care, because it's not something that interested them. So they carried on with this for about 4 hours of the anatomy and physiology, and then this and that and this and that, and the class ended, okay? Like I say, the company spent a lot of money for this. So back in those days, we had these things I think they were called KDTs, where we kept informed with each other, and I was in contact with people all over the country, and a lot of them were with this company. So I did a follow-up, and I asked them how many people read this information, all these beautiful handouts we were given. Couldn't find a single person. Could not find a single person who read it. So there were some exercises that were given out. Same answer, nobody did them. So this big company spent a fortune for some really nice stuff and it didn't work. It was just ridiculous. So we're gonna do a lot more on this back program, but just now I wanna tell you the basics of the disc problem. So many of the back problems are from the disc. A disc is a round portion between the vertebra. I think we all are aware there's different sections of the spine called vertebra. I want to keep this really, really basic, okay? Because who cares if you know the names of the components or not? So the disc is a buffer between them. Now, if a disc ruptures or herniates, it goes up against the nerve endings, which has caused all kinds of problems. Now, if anybody tells you you have a slipped disc, they don't know what they're talking about. It's a herniated or ruptured disc. Now, a perfect example of this, opposed to your handouts, is using the knuckles of your hands. And I just want to show you something. I'm going to take the knuckles of my hands like they're a vertebra. See, ignore my hand except right there, and ignore my hand except for right there. This portion, okay? Now imagine that this is a vertebra, this is a vertebra. They're hooked together, like that, okay? Now, the lower spine is called the lumbar latoris but the real name is just the curvature. This curvature should be maintained, and when this curvature is maintained, you don't have disc problems. It's when it's compromised under pressure you have problems, okay? So the disc is sitting like this. You can do this with your own hands. You don't need handles. Take your own hands, take your 2 top knuckles, push them together like they're vertebra, okay? Now, this is the head, this is the legs. If they move to increase the curvature, they actually get tight, very tight against each other, even tighter. However, when it's compromised, the lean is forward and they open, they spread apart, they make an opening, okay? I'm gonna tell you why that's important in just a sec. Here, and imagine this is a closing, and these are nerve endings, okay? Now, when a nerve ending is pinched, you're talking great pain. I'm talking really pain. You're talking about the inability to move, transfer information. I know that when my back was really hurt before, I couldn't even find a comfortable place to sleep. I was just so miserable, and that wasn't extremities. Now, for want of a better thing, we're going to consider this to be the disc, and the disc is between here. Can we get that? Now I'm going to apply pressure on the disc. Now I got a lot of pressure on that balloon. There's no movement, okay? Now if I open it up and give it an opening, see it come out? And would it be hitting the nerves? That's a ruptured disc. That's what happens in your back. Now, doing nothing else than closing my thumb up to my finger. I'm keeping the pressure the same. Everything's the same. It's like reestablishing the curvature of the back. As I lift the thumb up, it pushes the disc back in. But again, it's out, just pushing it up, puts the disc back in and takes the pressure away. Now granted, there are cases where that disc is really out and really damaged. You need medical attention. If you've got pain in the legs that's really, really intense, if you can't walk, if it's really miserable, get medical help. But in the meantime, just as we established in this curvature, which we're going to show in another video. But I just want you to understand, it's not slip disc, it's ruptured disc, it's against the nerves, and there's a lot you can do to prevent it. Okay, there will be a follow-up.